Donald Trump's Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, was just drowned out in boos while trying to yell back at a crowd in California for attacking the incredibly popular high-speed rail project that Californians have wanted for decades.
It was going to be completed in 2020. And we're nowhere. This is what we got.
And as we'll see from these humiliating clips, it really doesn't bode well for your administration when your press conferences start to look like English soccer matches. Now, Duffy, the former reality TV star and Fox News host, announced that the Department of Transportation is considering changing its stance on the high-speed rail project to connect San Francisco and Los Angeles. Duffy said that the $4 billion in federal funding for the project that was approved when his predecessor, former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, was in office, may be withheld in order to conduct a compliance review. Also adding that he and the president believe the project is rife with fraudulent spending. You know, just like Medicare and Social Security and anything that's not Donald Trump's businesses. But immediately after Duffy remarked that he thought President Trump was being kind when Trump said that this project had been mismanaged, the crowd immediately started booing Duffy and then started chanting build the rail, as well as we pay taxes, we want trains. And some of the protesters even held up signs that said California has no king. To which Duffy responded by yelling at them and blaming California Governor Gavin Newsom and calling the project a boondoggle, whatever that is. And he probably should have known that blaming Democrats probably wasn't the best idea and would not work out well for him because he literally tried to do the same thing on Fox News just the other day.
Well, you know, Sean, I want to look at what was the focus of the department, right? The main focus, back to the history, was safety. The problem is they were focusing on, as you mentioned, the environment, EVs, changing language for social justice. They want to be politically correct. And when you don't focus on your systems and your safety, bad things happen. And so I look at this last week. You haven't seen anyone drain the swamp more than Donald Trump has done in the last week. And when you do that, these swamp creatures raise their heads like Hillary Clinton has.
Trump blamed Biden's transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg.
He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
Who answered despicable. As families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying. We put safety first, drove down close calls, grew air traffic control, and had 0 commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch.
Well, what's going on is that my former boss is defending his record. And so far, what we've seen from this administration, I think there's plenty of good intention, but maybe a little bit fast and loose on the actual data and the details. In that quote that you just pulled up just a moment ago, for example, he said that the previous administration didn't do anything about air traffic controllers. And in fact, for the first time in many decades, my team, my former boss, got the number of recruits that we actually set a goal for, in fact, exceeding it last year for the first time in decades. So it's not exactly accurate. The other big piece of this, of course, when we talk about this all the time, is the IIJA, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, put another $25 billion into airports all around this country. So it's
there's still a big problem, though, right, with the FAA and air traffic controller.
There's definitely a decades-long downward spiral that needs to be countered right now, but I just don't think it's terribly fruitful to point at data that's not exactly accurate.
Yeah, and blaming DEI and wokeism for his own inadequacy and fragile ego didn't work out for him or his boss today either, when he got absolutely railed by the train crowd.
$1 billion, and no rail has been built. So if you want to go protest somewhere, if you want to shout at someone, go to the governor's mansion. Go talk to Democrats in the legislature who have brought us this crappy project. Right, so we've seen over the course of the last month what DOGE has exposed with regard to fraud, waste, and abuse. And we're done with it. And you know what? You're going to have people who love fraud, who love waste, who love trains to nowhere. But all of us up here, we do not love fraud, waste, and abuse. We are going to use the taxpayer money efficiently and effectively, and this is a boondoggle. There is, and again, I would love if they build a rail. It was supposed to be done in 2020.
And sure, the project was supposed to be done in 2020 and is taking a lot longer and has become more expensive than initially thought. But Trump had already canceled $1 billion for the project in his first term. And if you're just going to attack the project's biggest supporters to their faces, you're going to have a bad time.
Everybody wants safety. There's bipartisanship on that front. we're looking at these projects to make sure that we're actually building out infrastructure. So we're going to pull out the money that has been allocated towards the Green New Deal. We're also going to pull out the social justice, and we're going to actually build projects and make our dollars go further. So the money that's already been allocated, that money is going to go, but there's going to be a review to pull out, we think, the wasteful part of these projects.
Yeah, we can use a mic today. You're talking about investigating whether this is compliant, but it sounds like most of the people here have made up their mind that it is. Is there any way you could see where you do want to spend the $4 billion and go forward with this, or is this sort of box checking to end the project?
No. So this is a project that, again,